Hello there listeners, I am Small Kith and welcome back to Stemming the Tide. We got a bit lucky at the beginning of last week's episode there. Tulak and Physic managed to save themselves before going into the drink when the bridge gave way. Since our path gave way to the water, we couldn't use the front door, but we found our way in around the side through a crumbling wall, where we found more midflits and a giant maggot. I got the touch burned by Physic's alchemist fire, but I did manage to kill the giant maggot before it left me sick. Sage, while I was raging, managed to kill the last one with a magic missile as it was making for cover. After not being healed by our cutter Physic, I led the charge to clear the ground floor. In the very next room I discovered a sinkhole caused by an ancient battle and 4 midflits inside wrestling below. That's where we're gonna pick it up today.
All right, everyone. Another episode 3. And we're going to start this episode with a little bit of acknowledgement of past mistakes. That should be fun. Already getting started on correcting ourselves and fully expect that this will happen continuously throughout the show to some degree. I'm sure we're going to get some feedback, let's call it, on Reddit and whatnot as we grow. But I figured we ought to address the fact that we stated before, we're no masters of the rules, and let us acknowledge that right now with a couple of small things. You guys ready to hear what you got wrong?
I don't know I got anything wrong, but yeah, I guess I'm ready.
Yeah,
Duncan, you ready? You ready? Yeah.
Oh, can't wait.
Scott, you want to hear how much of a fuck up you are?
I'm ready. I know the thing I got wrong was listening to your bullshit so much, so we'll see.
Truth be told, I got most of it wrong, so... But try not to make any excuses, but maybe merely explaining when we started this room, we did some test recording in the summer here in 2021. By the time we got to recording our first episode, we tried to get a little bit in, but we didn't really have the time, and we just ended up taking almost 2 months off from play, I think it was. So we were definitely feeling a bit rusty. Combine that with everyone playing something that's out of their normal wheelhouse and comfort zone, and there's just a couple tiny things along the way. And none of them are game-breaking, really, but I would like to address them anyway. Let's do it. Samal and the Mitflits. We probably could have played this out a little bit differently in the first room using concealment, the concealment condition in with the drop ceiling and them having seen you and you not seeing them. We played it a little fast and loose with that one, but I think all in all it added up pretty sensibly. So I just thought it was it's something that popped into my head. I don't think it was necessary. They did have the high ground. You had the low ground. It was really, really tough. They had, a hole in the wall that probably filtered a little more light in. So it all kind of works out in that sort of imagination verisimilitude kind of way.
Yeah. And I rolled a really high perception check when I first stepped in.
Totally, yeah. So it's fine, and realistically, even if we had used it, it would have been something like they would have been concealed, but Samal would have been observing them, and then he would have had to roll a DC 5 flat check in order to hit them. I don't think you were really looking to do anything ranged anyway, so it's neither here nor there.
No, I was treating it pretty accurately, so Samal, during the march into a wet place, would not have had his bow pre-strung. So
right.
That's why later on in the session, I took the 5 minutes to string the bow.
Yeah, for sure. From there, I guess I could have had you roll an attack roll for the pulling down the planks with your boarding axe.
Yeah, I prompted you for one.
Yeah, I kind of got wrapped up in the fact that it was a climbing axe, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You can just reach up and do it, and, But again, neither here nor there. We did cover it too when we shot the crossbow with the rope on it and stuff. So, it's not like a rule we didn't use at some point, but we just didn't use it there. So it's all a very obvious gray area. The only other thing was that James did admit to me after the first episode, I think it was, or at least the first encounter, that he forgot to raise his shield.
Yeah.
That's just, again, not quite used to these character types. And then I actually didn't even realize that he has to actually... he didn't forget to raise his shield. He forgot to shield block, because you did raise your shield.
Sorry, that's the one. Almost every turn I raise my shield.
Yeah, and I didn't realize you have to have your shield raised in order to shield block. So he now remembers, and I learned something. So it all works out.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'll probably forget this episode too.
That's okay. I'll remind you. That was episode 1. Not much to go wrong there. That was pretty good. Episode 2. I forgot to reveal a little bit of information to you. Sage Tulok, you rolled the nature check on the Mitflit. And I think this was in episode 2. I might have wrote this down wrong. Who knows? Doesn't matter. What I forgot to tell you was that all those piles of pixie mug, and this will come to no one as a surprise, were in fact Mitflit dung. So...
I mean, that kind of surprises me. I thought it was something weird, but I mean, I didn't go straight to poop. Okay.
Yeah, they were just trying to get you to eat their poop and have a laugh at you. That's pretty much it. It was something I meant to tell you when you did the nature, like when you realized these Mitflits were, because that was actually part of the checks in the room, was finding that out. I also would like to I'm kind of curious. You guys, when the combat tracker is up, you guys do see the names of the creatures, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just curious why everyone was calling them Mitflicks instead of Mitflits.
It's a better name.
Rolls off the tongue.
Like everybody did it. And I was like, did they all just suddenly become illiterate? Like, that's going to make this a lot harder if all of a sudden they can't read.
Well, once we start meeting NPCs and I start making up shitty names for them, you'll be real angry.
Yeah, that's fair. Which brings me to Physic and his splash damage with the bombs. I reviewed this a couple times before we started playing, and they were sometimes a little bit hard to remember all the details. Not hard to get your head around, actually, but it's just like there's a couple extra details in there. So the splash trait on weapons, I just want to quickly review. We actually missed only a single point of damage during that fight with the Mitflits and the Maggot. And before you ask, James, no, it was not on Samal and a reflex save.
I took splash damage.
Yeah, I know. So do not pass go and do not collect 1 HP, but rather we forgot to put 1 splash damage on the primary target. They also take splash damage.
Okay. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. So you take and splash trait weapons are actually pretty damn cool. The only time no one takes damage is on a critical failure. Even on a regular failure, everyone takes splash damage, including the main target. And we don't go into rules of like rolling to see what square it lands in, which is sort of the bonus. But rather, everybody in that zone will still take the splash damage. In this case, it would have been 1. And on a success, obviously, the same case, but then the primary target takes the main damage as well as the persistent damage. And then on a critical success, same deal, but the initial damage is doubled, the persistent damage is doubled, but the splash damage is not. So that's sort of the basic breakdown of the splash trait. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty incredible that only a critical failure makes you do no damage. Thank goodness we're not pulling any crit fumble decks. So there's that. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
I'm just glad that, we missed the damage on the enemy and not the one that's almost dead right now. That's great.
Poor Samal. Will he survive? Will he not? Who knows?
He could die this episode for all I know.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention was we sort of glossed over resting to a degree. And I remember catching it a little bit, but I was a little bit busy, just getting my feet back on the ground, GMing. When you guys decided to rest and attempt another treat wounds, which did fail, we had established you had to wait another 45 minutes. But nothing really happened. We glossed over it and then we moved on. So I just wanted to point that out. Such a missed opportunity for roleplay and a missed opportunity for actually taking a look at this room. Whether you're investigating and rolling a recall knowledge, using the search exploration activity, which is something no one's yet to use, That's kind of how you find hidden things. Investigating is for recalling knowledge and retrieving knowledge about your surroundings and maybe learning some history and that sort of thing, which we did in the sinkhole room that Samal is now occupying. We glossed over that, whether it was the roleplay or not. There was other things that were possible, so I just wanted to point that out. You should keep that in mind. And the only other thing is an old habits die hard moment on my end. I think it comes from the fact that we hadn't played in about 2 months, plus the last time I played was in a 12-hour-long 5e D&D 5e session with James not that long ago. And I should not have rolled opposing checks for Samal entering this room. So I went back and looked at the numbers in Foundry and found that his stealth, despite being pretty poor, still exceeded all of their perception DCs. So this totally changes the dynamic of the situation in which we ended in episode 2. This means we're not rolling initiative. In fact, what it's going to mean is Samal is now going to get to choose what to do here. If he wants to engage or if he wants to continue his avoid notice and sneak back out of the room. And we are going to have James make that choice before anything else. But before we even do that, I have to talk about one final mistake, which was, of course, collaborating on exposition with Scott. He's awful to work with, so I just wanted to... Yeah.
Well, it's because you have more words in it than I do, and I don't like that. I want to be the center of attention.
Oh, I thought it was just because you're not a man of words at all.
No. It's just the line split I don't like.
Well, with that, even though it was a painful process, I would still love to introduce an awesome scene for Sage Tula. A worn purple wagon sits amid a grassy field in the autumn dusk. The sounds of music, laughter, and cheering floating on the wind from the nearby marketplace. Inside the wagon, however, the mood is less jovial, and the aromatic smoke of incense is thick in the candlelit interior. A young couple sits on cushions in silence, hands held in anxious anticipation. Across from them, a figure in a dark cloak with a hood obscuring his face shakes a black leather bag, its contents making a distinct click, click, clack. As the figure spills the bag open onto a small wooden table in front of him, 6 small worn bones with carved runes settle on the table. The young couple stifle a nervous gasp. The hooded figure uses his delicate fingers to quickly organize the bones in front of him, placing them in a seemingly random order to the untrained eye. The atmosphere is tense, but after a brief time, the man pulls back his hood, revealing a handsome face, marred only by a single pupilless eye. He smiles wide, in a disarming fashion, as he has learned to do. Breaking the silence, the man says,
"Your union shall be blessed. You'd be wise to wed in the month of Neth, on the first frost. You shall be gifted with bountiful offspring, starting near next harvest."
He smiles wide, again. The young couple excitedly thank the man and carefully place a few silver coins on the wooden table. The man wipes the bones back into the bag. As the couple exit the wagon and close the door behind them, the smile drops from his face. He leans back on the mound of pillows behind him and sighs. His one blue eye looks forlorn in the flickering light, and the other gives away no emotion at all. Pulling his hood back over his dark, tied-up hair, the man blows out the candles and steps into the gathering darkness, pulling his collar tight around his neck to ward off the coming cold of night. Walking in silence, away from the lights of the town, the man rubs his temples as if trying to clear his mind of something, and the moonlight reveals a grimace across his face. Once over a hill and beyond a copse of trees, he stops, pulls his hood back, and regards the night sky. Lowering his head with a look of focus and hands outstretched, he brings them together in front of his chest. The wind suddenly picks up and his cloak whips in the salty breeze. As the man begins to pull his hands apart, a purple glow forms between his palms. As he spreads them wider, the purple light begins to swirl and intensify. The strange glow lights the man's face, casting a lonely shadow across the meadow. And as quickly as it appeared, the light flickers out. The man gives a sigh, gathering himself, and begins to refocus and pull at the light again and again. As the sun breaches the horizon and sends its rays across the inner sea, the man walks back into town and directly to the Dawnflower Library. With a smile and a wave, he returns the greeting of a small halfling woman, Vandy Banderdash. Fortune smiles upon him as the chatty librarian is already engaged in conversation with several of the younger Dawnflower acolytes. But then again, it's been ages since Vandy has bothered to use her knack for book recommendations on the man. He remains among the very few she's been unable to properly assist. Walking deep into the library, and with a sidelong glance, the man purposely skips past the section on the occult, mysticism, and the supernatural, instead stopping in a small, mostly private reading area and selects a dusty tome from a reserved stack. Settling on a bench, drenched in the early morning sun pouring in through the window, he carefully opens the book to a page marked by a silk ribbon and begins to read in the cozy warmth. He rubs his tired eyes with his fist and continues to scan the near-crumbling ancient pages. Hungry for information, hungry for answers, the man flips the page again, and again, and again. Exiting the library, exhausted, the man walks swiftly through the streets. He is greeted with smiles and waves, and despite his weary state, he returns them all in kind. He makes his way through the freshly opened Otari market, the familiar smells of exotic coffee wafting from a nearby textile merchant, nearly giving him a second or third wind. But he marches on and reaches his wagon just in time to catch a disapproving glimpse of the dour and humorless owner of the market. Ignoring him, he enters the wagon, collapsing onto the stacked cushions. He tries to sleep, but he is woken. In his dreams and in his waking moments, he hears the voice again, and again, and again, and again. And that was mostly Scott's writing.
Hey, who'd have thought, eh?
The kids still got it.
Fantastique, fantastique. That's French, listeners.
That was awesome, man.
Thank you, thank you. Like I said, I should have put more lines in for myself, but Freeman knocked it out of the park.
You did great too, man.
Next
yeah,
one,
that was awesome.
Yeah. Now we're in the meat of it. Samal, the ball is in your court.
Samal is going to attempt to back out slowly.
I did some calculations on the moving at half speed with the avoid notice. General, I'm pretty sure I know where you started, and you really only moved, basically at half speed you can only move 10 feet, but you really only moved 5 into the room. So you have 5 out, and then you can kind of just skip out. I'm not going to make you roll anything. I think you can just back out.
Then he's going to do that. What's the light like in this room?
Yeah, so the ceiling is totally collapsed. It's actually quite a bit brighter in here than most. And just a recap on what you came upon is this sinkhole in this room that's clearly been hit by devastating ancient magic and battle. And you see 4 mitflits in this sinkhole that are fighting and wrestling over something. And that's why they haven't noticed you. They are 10 feet below you. You peer over the edge. You kind of signal back to everyone else. There's dudes here, so remember we went through that, and back the fuck back out.
Yep. Very, very slowly. Trying to avoid as much notice as possible.
Love it. Okay, and you do just that.
Alright, gentlemen, there appears to be the midflicks in the sinkhole haven't noticed me yet. Physic, see what you can do about it.
Okay, Physic is out of alchemical fire, that's for sure. But what I can do is whip one up real quick using quick alchemy.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so
Like
that's why
that.
I saved one of my 4 reagents in case something like this came up. So I'll get out the alchemist tools, and then I can use my last reagent. And if you do quick alchemy, it's basically a 1-for-1. I'm just going to get 1 alchemical fire out of it. But if you can point out exactly where I'm supposed to be lobbing this here.
I can ping it on the map.
Here, Physic, you can move a bit to get a view here. I'll
Oh,
just
yeah,
move
I
in
can
here so
actually
you can
see them?
There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, what I didn't realize when I was reviewing The Alchemist, and Duncan was as well, was that there's a thing called quick alchemy and there's one called advanced alchemy. And I'm like, the advanced alchemy makes me think, oh, it's just like, it's more complex, but it's not. It actually means you've prepared it in advance in this case. And so that's the difference with his alchemical infusions, is that if he does them in advance, he can get more out of one reagent. But he's locked those in for the day essentially. But if he wants to use quick alchemy, it's a 1-for-1 instead, but he gets to choose on the fly. So it's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, like regardless, your reagents are worthless, and whatever they make are worthless within 24 hours. So you gotta walk that line of seeing what you're gonna prepare ahead of time and what you're going to need, like a spontaneous little alchemical fire to throw into a pit to burn up some mitflits.
Question for the GM. At the north end of the room, is that a door?
Indeed it is.
Okay.
It's a door that leads straight into the room that you were just in. You're
Perfect.
just in a broken corner of the wall that's also leading into the room.
Great. So Tulok will move to the west to be in front of said door.
Okay.
And then Small will move up right behind Physics, so he's got an eye on this pit.
Okay. And Physic barely enters the room, and he's going to lob from there. So you have the range.
I've got 20 feet of range, so that would be the... Ooh. Now here's my question where we're out of combat right now, where it's normally a combat activity that would take 1 action. That doesn't really give me times on it.
Yeah, so 1 action, effectively means it's, 1/3 of your turn of combat. So 1/3 of 6 seconds, 2 seconds in length-ish. If you want to try and lob that into the center of them, you're going to have to step in 1 more square, I think, without taking a penalty. But you will have to probably avoid notice to do that effectively, so they don't notice you. But that's up to you if you want to do that. Or you can take a -2 to your attack roll for being outside of your range increment.
Do I ever want to step forward, but do I ever not want to hear you go like...
I will also say these guys are distracted, so they are going to have a penalty to their DC. So the DC is going to be lower to succeed on a stealth check.
Okay.
And that's just like it's not the sort of thing I'm going to tell you all the time, but it is a background mechanic that happens if they are properly distracted. If they're just sitting on a chair staring at the wall, that's not distracted. But they're playing a game of cards right now, they're wrestling over like a juicy grub that they found in the ground. Is what it is.
So roasted grub for supper tonight. Yeah, I'd like to take the avoid notice action and step west 5 feet as goddamn sneakily as possible.
All right. You step west, and they do not seem to have noticed you.
Ooh, in that case, I am right within a lobbing range to hit the, basically the center.
So what we're going to do here is roll for initiative. And Physic, you are going to use your stealth check as your initiative.
Okay.
Which I've already plugged in. And I'll walk us through the process here. Because there's no technical surprise rounds in 2E. But currently what we have here is that you guys have not been noticed. 2 of you are not in the room. 1 of them is in the room but has not been noticed. So they may or may not act in this round. So rather than you being able to act while they can't, it's sort of inverted a bit. But let's go through initiative real quick. I would like Samals. What do you got?
Rolling rocks to start with for a 10 on the die for 15 initiative.
Oh yeah, it's a real middling rock, eh?
Yeah.
Physic got a 14, but what do we get from Sage Tulok?
Ooh, pretty hot roll here for a dirty 20.
Dirty 20, very nice. Okay, and I'll roll up for these mitflits. Okay, so one of the Mitfits goes first, but he's preoccupied, so he spends his turn continuing to wrestle with the other Mitflits. That brings us to Sage Tulak.
I am going to hold my action until after Physics' turn.
Okay, so you are delaying.
Delay, yes, thank you.
Samal.
I will also delay.
Okay. That brings us to another Mitflit who continues to wrestle. Physic.
Physic will give a nervous little fire in the hole and launch that alchemist fire.
Amazing. And they are, because they do not notice you, they're going to be flat-footed to this attack.
Well, that's good because it was a 13.
Oh, man. That flat-footed gives them -2 to their AC. Their AC is 15. That's exactly the amount you needed.
Nice.
Oh, thank God.
So I assume you're hitting this guy, the one in the center here, so you're going to get splash damage on everybody, aren't you?
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
plan.
Wicked. Okay, roll me up your damage.
That'll be 7 base damage.
Okay.
Plus, I think he gets the 1 persistent and 1 splash damage.
That is correct. And the others also take 1. And they all go, "Ah, Scoopadoo!"
And Samal will act.
Okay. The one on fire drops the grub in surprise. Samal's going to enter the order here. What do you got?
What does my range look like on these guys? Am I able to see any of them in the pit from where I'm standing? I mean, I can see them on my screen.
Yeah,
but...
go just run with that. Whatever you can see on your screen
Okay.
with the dynamic lighting, that's you.
Okay, he is going to target the one farthest away from him and take 1 shot with his short bow. That is a modified 20 to hit,
That will definitely hit.
and that will be 2 points of piercing damage.
Okay, 2 damage to that guy, and that's your turn. Oh, sorry, it's not. You were
well.
delayed. I was thinking. Sorry, I was thinking ready to action. It's my bad.
He'll take another shot with the short bow, same
Okay.
mid flick in the pit, farthest one away from him. That is 13 to hit.
And since you've already struck him once, he now knows you're there, so he's not going to be flat-footed to that attack, and the 13 is going to miss.
Okay. I don't know if I can hit with the third attack, so
Yeah, usually not in the best math interest, the third attack, unless you're built for it.
yeah. So what Samal's going to do with his last action is take cover. So behind the wall next to him, because he's kind of standing in a doorway, he will take cover there, which will give him a boost to his AC.
Wicked. Okay, so that brings us to the Mitflit on fire.
I am going to toss in after James.
Come on.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right, fine. All right, what are you doing, Sage Tulak?
All right, so Tulok jumping into the Inish here is going to open the door in front of him.
Okay.
And then he looks to have a pretty good view on what's going on in here. And so he's going to look at the middle southernmost Mitflit there. And focusing around the room, he notices a rather large rock, and he reaches out to it. And using his mind, he grasps it and sends it flying at the Mitflit in the middle of the room.
No, I'm sorry, there are no rocks. Those are all flavor rocks.
There's rocks, goddammit.
Fine.
It's
Roll
a
your attack roll.
Broken building, Barn, you son of a bitch.
My name's Scott. I want to be involved.
That's a 15. Meet to beat. I already know it.
Yeah, whatever. Just roll your damage, son of a bitch.
7 points of damage.
7 points of damage. And how does this rock murder this creature?
It just comes flying from the side. He doesn't even see it coming. He's looking up at Samal there, on fire, and it just comes in and just shatters his ribcage, and he goes down like a sack of Mitflit potatoes.
Okay. All right. So now can I use the guy that's on fire? Okay. So bomb strikes him. Explode. Splash damage everywhere. Arrow comes flying. Hits a dude. Arrow comes flying. Misses a guy. Rock comes flying. Murders his friend. He panically drops the grub and just starts looking around. And then he runs to the edge this way to the north and is going to attempt to climb out. And he spends one action climbing 5 feet. and 1 action not climbing at all, just staying still. So he's kind of hanging on the wall right now. He's kind of losing his grip. And the other Mitflit behind him... Oh, also, by the way, he fails his persistent fire damage check, so he's going to take 1 fire damage while he's on the wall. Oh, you know what? I can try one more climb. Oh, yeah. There we go. And he gets up. He gets up and he spots Sage Tulok right through the door right away. He's like, ah, scoop-a-da-da-ba! And one of the Mitflits that is next to the one that just died from the rock and the arrow greedily scoops up the grub and just munches on it, wasting an action. And then he starts to look around and panicked and heads to the northeast and starts climbing the wall himself. And he makes it up and pops up next to Physic. And that's going to bring us to the top of the round with the dead Mitflit. We just remove him. See you never. And the last Mitflit in the pit is going to stride over and also attempt to climb. And despite all the -1s on these, they're doing really good. And he climbs up out of the pit near Physic and near the door. And that brings us to Physic, who is now face to face with one of these little bastards.
That's where I want to be. Great.
One little bastard facing another little bastard.
Yep, it's a little bastard off. Well, kind of low on options as he is. I think he's going to draw the dagger that's on his belt and give a little poke here to the Mitflit directly south of him for a 19 to hit.
Hell yeah.
For 1 big point of damage.
Oh, man, it's so big.
Not even going to touch that one.
All right, what do you got for your next attempt?
Running away seems like a good idea, but there's not really anywhere to run right now, is there?
You can run through your ally's space if you need to, if that's what you're thinking about.
I would endorse it.
Well, I don't want to leave you hanging there, bud, but that's a stride out the room.
Okay.
Right behind Sage. Or sorry, right behind Samal.
All right, that's 2 actions. You got anything else?
Draw, then poke, then...
Oh, it was
I wasn't
draw.
holding my dagger,
You drew
yeah.
first. Okay. My bad. That brings us to the new human shield Samal.
Samal, first action is going to unleash a single arrow on the one directly in front of him.
Oof.
That is a modified 20 to hit.
Yep.
That will be 7 points of piercing damage.
7. Holy jeez. Where'd you get the +2?
Point blank shot. I forgot it last time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a stance. Stances, I think you have to spend an action to get into. Do you not? Am I wrong about that?
Stance is a general combat strategy that you enter by using an action with the stance trait.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So he's then going to drop the short bow with a free action. Second action, draw his shield. Third action, raise said shield.
All right. I like your style. Tulok, can you show him up?
I don't know about that, but we can give it a shot. So, Tulok again is going to focus his mind on maybe a piece of timber hanging from the wall and crash it down on the dome of the Mitflit that's on fire right in front of him.
Okay.
It's going to be a 26 to hit, baby.
That's a crit. That's a crit, baby.
Hell yeah, this guy's having a terrible day right now. It's going to be 18 points of damage, bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, that's a big ol' hit and kill. And just for flavor's sake, I'm going to say the fire on that Mitflit kind of just like, it gets hit so hard it just spurs out into next to the guy that you can't see, and I'm going to make him take 1 splash damage.
Yeah. Burn them all.
All thanks to the crit factor. Anything else from you?
Yeah, and then the open door in front of him, he's just going to kick it closed.
So you've assumed that you pulled it open instead of push it open.
Yep, that was an assumption I made for fun.
I think that's up to me, isn't it?
I don't know, I was the one who touched the door.
Actually, truth is, and I didn't specify, but I should have, but pretty much all these doors crumble the moment you open them. So I'm actually not going to allow you to do that.
Oh, you rule of cool Freeman.
Check me out.
The old retcon barn over here.
All right, not an issue there. He's just going to take a stride action and move around the corner to the west. Just trying to put a little bit more space. So half.
You can always use the take cover action. Gives you a +2 if you want to just duck behind one of those walls as a single action.
Yeah, okay. Actually, you know what? I do want to do that. I will take cover.
Go team. Don't forget either that all the difficult terrain in the previous room that you guys are now pretty much all occupying. Any of that rubble is difficult terrain.
Yep.
All right, and that brings us to the mid-flit that just got struck with point-blank shock. It is going to step up to Samal and strike with its short sword. Well, I guess it's going to have to pull one out first and then strike.
Okay, so wait.
Yeah.
Give me the order of operations again, please.
Pull short sword, step up, slash.
Okay. It's very important that he pulls it out before he steps up.
Oh, yeah.
As a fighter, I have an attack of opportunity.
Very much so, and I mean, it makes the most sense that you pull your weapon out before you get into melee, so that's the order I'm going with. And that's going to be a natural 20 for 28 to hit.
Oh yeah, that's not a crit.
Yeah, and that's going to be 2 damage.
Perfect. I'm going to use my shield block here.
Shield block. Walk us through shield block.
Yeah, so this shield it's a steel shield, so it has a hardness of 5, which means anything above 5 damage, I and the shield both take. So if it was 6 damage, we'd both take 1. In this case, since it's less than 5, it just kind of bounces off the shield, and that uses my reaction.
And for anyone listening who's curious about why I'm allowing him to make the announcement after damage, it's because of a very important order of operations when it comes to things like hardness and damage resistance in particular. So if Samal were to have DR against slashing, we would have to calculate that first before the hardness, and that means he needs to know how much damage is going through before he decides whether or not he's making the shield block. So that's pretty much above board. Whether or not that's rules is written, I believe it's rules is intended. That's that. So that's you. That's sweet.
Negating a natural 20. Love it.
Pretty much, yeah. And because these guys suck. And then the midfoot here that just took 1 splash damage is going to step up over this way and peek around the corner. It's going to draw its weapon and then step up again to Tulak. But it's going to waste all its actions because it's confused. It doesn't know what's going on. It was in a blind spot and just watched his friend get crushed by what was left of the ceiling. That's going to bring us to Physic.
Okay, well, Physic is not going back in that room right away.
I want to point out right now, by your positioning, there will be a bonus to enemies' AC if you try and use a rage attack through another creature occupying a space, because they kind of have a loose cover from Samal being between you and them. Just throwing that out there.
Right, okay.
Samal is a big man with the shield out now, so
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole point.
I think I'm going to try that anyways, though. So, is there something I can do to put that penalty onto my roll, or are we just going to subtract it normally?
I think it wouldn't be a penalty or roll so much as a bonus to its AC, because it's cover, right?
That's pretty much it.
Cover's a +2 or a +4 to their AC.
Oh, okay.
It's I believe it's lesser cover, and which is only a +1. Those numbers are lower in 2E on the bonuses and penalties in general.
Okay, so I think this is going to be 3 actions for 1 shot, be a draw the bow, reload, then fire. But I don't really have much else to do, so
Yeah, go for
I
it.
hope I kill this thing.
We should get you some throwing knives.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad, especially because I just rolled a 12.
Yep, no dice.
And once again, he goes, oh no.
And that's his turn?
That's got to be it.
All right, well, Samal's going to take care of this, I can tell now. What do you got?
Small first action is going to shield bash. Just punch this mitt flick right in the face with his kite shield. That is an 18 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
All right, that is 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh,
Just
it's
wha-bam!
so dead. Brain damage dead.
Second action after that epic shield bash is he's gonna step into the room, or stride into the room, I guess is more accurate. And 5, 10, 15, 20, go looking for this mitt flick, and he kind of sees it around the corner. That's about as far as he can go, actually.
Okay.
Actually, he can move all of the way up, so he's gonna do that. He's gonna do a full stride.
Okay.
And take that extra 5 feet, and then flanking this thing with Sage Tulok, he's just going to hit it with his shield again.
Okay.
That is a 14 to hit,
That's a miss.
even with the flanking.
Oh, sorry. With the flanking, it's a hit. Thank you.
Excellent.
I was not listening, apparently.
That'll be 7 points of bludgeoning damage as he just reach out and smacks this one across the back of the head with his shield.
And you do so, and it looks real rough now. It just took some fire embers to the face, and then it runs around, it's pulled a short sword, and then all of a sudden behind it, back of the head, Tulok, you just see this thing rock forward for a sec.
Yeah, Samal and Tulok make eye contact, and Samal just shrugs. I don't know.
What do you do? Please kick it in the balls.
With this creature right in front of him, seeing Samal towering over him on the other side, just smash the back of his dome. Tulok looks at him and mutters some words under his breath and waves his hand across the face of the mitflit that's right in front of him, casting Daze.
Nice.
Daze. Okay. This is a will save for me, isn't it?
Yes, it's a will save.
How's a 14 grab you?
That does not do it. You fail and you take 4
There's
damage.
no way it survives. So describe your kill. It's got 1 HP left.
Basically, he just sees him just take it off the back of the head from Samal. He's leaning forward, waves a hand in front of his face, speaking some words, and his brain implodes on itself and he dies. Jesus. Just slumps to the ground in the doorway.
Just between the rock to the shield to the back of the head, and then your attack is like his brain just gets scrambled in his own skull, collapsing to the ground, and that is the end of that combat.
Samal's going to go back over the doorway and pick up his short bow.
I gotta say that was very well handled across the board. That was awesome.
We're learning. We were a little rusty first couple eps, but
I'm extremely glad I caught myself on the opposed checks because I was thought, you know what, this is going to create a really cool moment. I think if you guys do it, I wasn't sure if you would even engage them. I thought you might just walk out and go check something else out. But that was awesome. That was super fun. In fact, it was so fun. I'm gonna give everyone a hero point.
Aw.
hey, I don't care what literally every single person I've ever talked to says about you. You're not that bad.
Oh,
I only take back
sorry.
some of the things I said about you.
Sorry, Scott. I misspoke. Duncan and James get a hero point, but you get a 0 point.
Hand off the chess piece, buddy.
Because you's a loser. Scott only gets 0 points.
And just a reminder to the listening audience that we are stacking hero points, but they're not refreshing every session.
Yes, correct. So if someone goes down and decides to use heroic recovery, they're going to lose both of those. So use them up. It is within your purview. It's
Prerogative.
Thank you. I was about to try and squeeze incentivize in there somehow, and it just wasn't working in my brain.
Your jargon needs work, buddy. You need a more office-based job, I think.
Yeah, you wanna sit here and GM and come up with words at the same time? I don't think so.
With all your book learning?
Yeah, you and your vocabulary, Mr. Forbes. I think you're so cool.
It's the only thing I have.
That and those nimble fingers. What do you guys want to do now?
Samal is going to take the search action after we were so delicately scolded at the beginning of this episode and search this room.
I guess
Is that
I'll
what it felt
search,
like?
Mom.
A delicate scolding? Look, I could have pointed out loads of other ones. I just didn't want to take up too much time. That was just the most obvious one. All right, so Samal searches the previous room, the L-shaped room, not the sinkhole room, right? You gotta kind of look.
No, sinkhole room.
Oh, you're doing sinkhole room. Okay, sorry. All right.
Yeah, the whole point of him entering the sinkhole room was to kind of secure the perimeter. The reason he entered is because there is no door here. So he's going to search the sinkhole room.
So you may recall that when you entered the first time, you did do the investigate, and that was a recall knowledge which I allowed you to use crafting on, and I believe it was. And you got a feel for this room and what happened here, and also not only the damage, but the extraordinary state. Despite the fact that it's crumbling, it's centuries old. It should be in worse condition given what happened. And as you search this room, you notice in the sinkhole there appears to be some sort of destroyed spiral staircase. But you look around the room, and it doesn't appear as though there was a spot for it to lead up to a second floor. But rather, it must have gone downward. But judging by the look of the sinkhole, it's quite clear that clearing through to find where it led would take several days. Even with 3 of you, or hired hands. So it is something you could do. You could spend the time doing off and on if you wished, but that's what you discern.
Okay. He will keep that to himself for now and check the door in the west of the room.
That door is very much stuck shut, and it's very rotten, and it's very there's lots of rubble around it. And it seems to be, like, really jarred shut. You can attempt to force it open, if you like, with an athletics check.
Yeah, I think you'll do that.
Sure.
Is that open or closed?
That's open.
Right, that is a 17.
You rock that door open, and it just leads to more rubble into the other side, the southern side of the L-shaped room. And you can see that you're a little bit higher up, but the rubble allows you to kind of descend. And there's a staircase in the L-shaped room that you guys haven't really peeked at yet. So clearly, at one point, the staircase led up to this sort of spot and into the door. But, it's a very, very light elevation, but it's crumbled since.
Sage Tulok will be following Samal into the room. He is just detecting magic as his exploration.
Sure. Remind me of the range on detect magic.
For me...
0, like your hero points?
30 feet, like 15 times my hero points.
I think you'll find 15 times 0 is still 0, Scott.
No.
We're in a fantasy world. So 30. You do not detect anything.
And he's going to continue moving to the south end of the room. As he passes Samal, should we continue down to the southern tower here? Maybe there will be more of these creatures.
I'm sure there will be, Sage. I just think that maybe we should take another quick breather. As much as that one didn't tire us out, if we get surprised in any shape or form, it could be very difficult for me.
I very much trust your judgment in this situation. I'll follow you.
Okay, so while Samal was searching the room with the chasm in it, could Physic kind of search around the rubble that's at the opening, like the hole that's busted in the wall here? Just, I think I'd have 10 feet of searching ability there.
Yeah, I mean, you search around the immediate area in the eastern side of this room, and you don't see much of anything other than more score marks and ancient damage. I will remind you, however, that there was the Mitflit to the north that was so very unceremoniously killed, I believe, by the magic missile, was trying to climb the rubble across those double doors that are like totally, almost entirely blocked, and was trying to get through a hole that's above them into the room yonder. And that's the only thing that really stands out on this end of the room.
All right. Well, and then I'll notice that he's kind of lost track of the other guys and see them and catch up with them.
Okay.
Yeah, Samal will just continue to take the search action and just kind of move around this room. He's really just waiting for Physic to get the rest of his tools together so he can try and treat him again.
Sure.
The first one didn't go so well.
Yeah, we got basically a full hour.
Yeah, you kind of search in this room, and you actually find yourself a little bit distracted by your injuries. You don't really spot anything. You're trying to get past some of this rubble and difficult terrain, and as much as you felt a bit of a burst there in your combat, the adrenaline's coming down a little bit, and you're starting to feel the weight of it. So you don't spot anything right now.
Still just tired from throwing up so much.
Oh, you forgot about that.
It's been a wild day.
Like, you guys have
lots
only
happened.
been here for an hour and 35 minutes, so it's been a lot.
And that body count's stacking, though.
45 of those minutes were doing nothing.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to search the room or do another activity?
Yeah, I guess Physic would take a search around the rubble where that Mitflit was very unceremoniously splattered by a magic missile.
Sure. Yeah. And it just looks like you're gonna have to do an athletics check to try and climb it. It's a bit of a steep climb. The Mitflit didn't get very far before it died, but you can't really see through the hole so much without climbing up. And it's pretty clear that the ceiling above here has been totally destroyed and crumbled, especially on the other side of the door. You can see this big hole in the ceiling.
Okay, you can't, like, hear anything coming from the other room, or?
You don't really hear anything at the moment, no.
Okay.
Tulok will wander around the room and maybe even down the hallway to the south slightly, detecting magic.
Sure.
And just skirting towards, like, the edge of the walls, just see if he pings anything through the walls, or...
Okay. And you move and you head south, but you get really nothing. Nothing at all. If you get anything, and you wouldn't really, it would be like residual magics from the damage all around you. But it's too ancient, realistically.
Okay. He walks back kind of doubting himself because he's not sure whether there was magic there, or he's just not powerful enough to feel it, or, he's just kind of doubting himself.
Okay, can we just hand wave the other 45 minutes then?
Yeah, you guys want to hang out again to treat wounds?
Let's give it a shot.
Kinda.
Yeah.
This will be the last attempt.
I made a mistake on that last one and didn't use a crafting check instead of a medicine check.
Ah.
Could have saved us.
Could have saved us an hour.
You done
Well,
fucked up.
I just like, hanging out in a dank pit with you guys.
If ever I was to hang out in a dank pit, I'd want your company. All right. Yeah, you guys can hang out for 15 minutes in awkward silence if you like. And
I think that when they're settling into it, Tulok sitting on his haunches beside the two of them while they're kind of huddled up, just looks at them both and says, how far do you think we should continue today? Well, should we go through all the ruins, or... I mean, I've never been in this situation before.
Not much of a land dweller, but I think before we report back to Rin, we should at least cover this level.
I'm just along for the ride, though.
Rin said she saw the magic light coming from the actual lighthouse. I suppose we should try to make it up there?
which is pretty much middle north. You've seen the entrance. It's towering above this place.
Yeah, this is just to keep it afoot, right?
Pretty much.
Well, means we're at least staying the night here. Not a whole lot of lights during the sun hours.
It's only 20 after 10 in the morning, and it's only a 20-minute walk back to Otari. Just throwing that out there. You don't have to stay the night.
I'm just worried that we might meet what's making the magic light. Could be powerful.
Well, that's why we're here, is to meet what's making the magic light. The sooner we get this done, the sooner we can go back to our stalls.
Well, let's get you healed up, buddy.
Yes, please. If not, then we'll just clear out a few more rooms and then maybe head back to town for a little bit of a lay down.
Yeah, we're gonna need it. So that is a 21 on the crafting check.
Nice.
Yeah!
That's the ticket.
Fuck, that'll be 4 HP. You earned it, buddy.
Is your backup character a cleric by any chance, Duncan?
It's another healer.
What? You just gonna stab Physic for that? Just like
You know what, Physic? Not good enough. Shield bash.
No, just curious. I know you're doing the best you can. Let's pick a direction and start clearing out.
before we go, I wouldn't mind a little bit of that healing as well. I'm feeling a little wounded.
This is gonna be so embarrassing when I give you like full HP. Oh, first one was a 26. I just critited.
That's a critical success, so that will be 4d8 back to Scott.
Man.
Oh, yeah. All right,
so-
well, you don't even have to roll it because...
I kind of want to just to piss everybody off. It's 19 HP back for you, bud.
Oh, thank you so much.
How much of that did you need? 2?
2?
He gives you like a real nice massage while he's at it.
He just bleeds me a little bit. Gives Sage Tulak a real massage.
Yeah. Let me get some of
Thank
these
you,
knots
Physic.
out.
I feel much better.
All right, Samal's gonna move back into the mud pit room and go for these doors, I guess.
Okay.
As they're going through this time, he'll point out to Sage the kind of hidden staircase that he found the first time around. Just casually point over to it, shield raised, axe in one hand.
I just want to clarify, you're not going towards the lighthouse.
No.
Okay.
We're going towards the other outbuilding in the south, just to take that corner.
Sure. Okay.
The one that the Mitflicks were entering from, which is why he wanted to go this way.
Yeah, Sage gives a grim nod and kind of lowers himself down and will begin to sneak. Or avoid notice, my apologies.
All right.
Not a whole lot of reason to do that when this door crumbles in my hand.
Physic, what are you up to?
Physics just gonna take up the other side, a few steps, 10 feet back. So
Okay.
we're all me and Sage are on either side of Samal.
Yeah, and I'll take the scout action here as well.
Okay.
And then with the GM's blessing, he'll crack open that door.
We will crack open that door, and he does. He cracks open that door, and the first thing Samal sees is a Mitflit. And it is right by that vine in which the two original Mitflits from the first building escaped. What you see sort of in front of you is a 15-foot stone walkway that spans a narrow stretch of swamp water connected to the ruined keep of a large stone outbuilding that you circumvented earlier. Double doors block each end of the hallway. Obviously, you've just crumbled the one in front of you. And standing before the southeastern door is a 7-foot-tall skeleton dressed in armor made of gnarled roots, bones, and rusted metal. The skeleton clenches the Morning Star in one weathered hand, with the weapon's heavy spiked tip resting on the walkway at the skeleton's feet. The two Mitflits that escaped from the original entrance turn around and spot you right away. One immediately leaps onto the vine and screams, "Dokati! Dokati!" While the other looks at you and then at the skeleton and he yells, "Rakadin no more shadi!" before following his cohort onto the vine. And Samal, you speak Undercommon. And you heard the first one yell twice, "Dodge the squirt! Dodge the squirt!" And the other one yell, "The guard will get him!" And we're going to roll for initiative.
So they had readied actions mechanically, I guess?
Sure.
Ooh, God.
If that's how you want to put it, that's how I'm putting it.
Okay.
Let us begin this silly encounter. Physic, what'd you get for initiative?
That's a 23.
You get a +1 from the scouting.
Oh, +1, 24.
All right. Samal.
That is a sad 13.
Ooh, sweet lord. 2 luck.
Tulak will be rolling with stealth.
Oh.
Oof. Sad 13 as well.
Is that with your +1?
Why would I get a +1?
Because Samal was scouting.
Oh, I get a +1 as well?
Everyone gets a +1.
Oh, shit. 14.
He grants it to the whole party. That's the beauty of that, baby.
Oh, dope.
Cool. All right. That's going to put us at Physic at the top of the order. The one guy who can't see shit.
Well, I guess he'll do what he can and take a step southwest. She's kind of way out of options here.
Can always delay.
Yeah, I'm gonna delay.
Okay. And then it's going to go to Tulak. The water below, that is.
All right. Tulak can't see anything from where he is situated beside the door here, so he is going to stride to the north and will detect magic.
Okay. And you detect magic. What? Tell me how detect magic works exactly.
I send out a pulse that registers the presence of magic. You receive no information beyond the presence. You can choose to ignore it, blah, 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 blah. So at this point, I can't pinpoint the source. I can't pinpoint what type it is.
Okay.
It's just, I just know it's there.
You do detect magic, though.
All right, and at that point, that is just going to be his turn for this turn.
And Samal.
Samal is going to bound into this room over to the vine. First action. Second action, cut the vine with his boarding axe.
Yeah, I was hoping so.
I knew it! Roll me an attack roll. AC 5.
All right.
Let's get this right.
That's a 21.
Oh, amazing. You run over and you chop that vine real clean. And you see the shocked look of the Mitflit that's right next to you as it turns around and raises a hand as if it was about to do something while running away. And the shocked look as the vine releases beneath its feet and it plops down into the water. And the one that's halfway across the vine doing a similar thing, although it's actually pulled out a piece of like rotting something, and it looked like it was getting ready to throw it. And as they drop, the one in the middle descends into the center of the pond, and this massive tusked frog beast leaps up out of the water and catches it in its massive jaw mid-fall and just plops back into the water and swallows it whole, essentially. And that creature looked like this.
That is awesome.
Ooh, dope.
I'm so glad we did not fall into the water from that bridge.
Yeah.
And the other Mitflit splashes into the shallower end of the water and just starts screaming. Anything else from you, Samal?
Yeah, I do have one clarifying question. Did they turn to the skeleton thing at all while they were talking to each other?
Yeah, the one of them turned at the skeleton and then yelled out, "The guard will get them."
Okay, so he's going to spin in his place and with his last action raise the shield, kind of proffering it up to the skeleton.
Okay.
He's seen enough shit in his travels between like Neff and Cheliax to know that this might and is probably going to come alive with their stupid pixie magic.
And the Mitflit who fell into the shallow part scrambles out of the water, starts running along the northern bank of the pond, and just continues around as best it can, past where the collapsed bridge was, and just runs, just hightails it as fast as he can. And as he does, he actually sort of trips over the half-decayed corpse that you originally saw on the northern bank of the pond. And you notice a couple of shiny gold pieces get strewn about as he kicks the corpse by mistake. And that brings us to Physic.
Okay, so we're still in initiative, are we?
For now.
Well, he's kind of curious about what all this commotion is, so he's going to stride himself down into that room. Yeah, okay, I think he's just going to stride in here, then draw and load his crossbow. And that'll be his turn.
Okay. And Tulak.
Tulak will stride into the room to the northeast of the skeleton and would like to observe it.
Okay. The closer you get, the more you realize the magic is emanating off of it, even if that's not rules as written. And it becomes pretty clear that this is nothing more than a simple totem-like guard meant to scare people off, like a scarecrow. And that morning star clearly has some runes etched into it, and it is a +1 morning star.
Whoa, that happened quick.
We're gonna exit initiative. So for the first time, you'll see a chest on the map in Foundry that you should be able to double click and loot.
So while he's standing there, Sage Tulok, perceiving this, will look down and look at the morning star, and if it has runes on it, he would like to potentially decipher the writing.
I'm gonna hand wave this one. I like where you're going, but it's very much just a simple +1 weapon. The runes are quite obvious. Weapon potency +1, very common, very very common. Keep that though. I love that you were about to use decipher writing, because that's like, that shit's gonna come up. I love that. But this is as basic as they come.
Great yes and Freeman.
Yeah. You like that? You like that? -1 0 point. You son of a bitch. There you go. You get some loot if you want it.
I mean, we're taking it. It's just, can anybody use it? It's a morning star, right?
It is a morning
It's a
star.
common weapon. It's not like a martial weapon or anything.
Yeah, it's
Oh, and it's simple too. That's the important part. So,
Yeah. Simple weapon. Yeah.
do you guys have melee weapons?
I have just a dagger. I technically could use it.
I think they're
but-
both.
Take the morning star.
I think they're both proficient in simple weapons, at least.
Yeah. Except I have literally no strength, so like the dagger is probably just better for me in general.
Yeah, I've got no
guess that-
strength either.
So one of you two take it. Samal is built for an axe, so and he would be loath to give it up.
Yeah. I talked about this off mic, off and on with a few of you, but this is where crafting could come in handy if you have the correct feat. So magical crafting could actually allow you to swap the rune from this weapon to another if you had that feat. But in this case, or you can pay someone to do it for you.
Physic, do you want to get in on this, or do you want to just roll off and just whoever gets it gets it?
Let's roll it off. I mean,
I could try to use it like
Oh, we're having our first loot roll off. I like it.
roll off. It's a roll off, baby.
All right,
Okay.
flat D20s. What do you got?
17.
5.
Well, that's not going to do it, is it? I guess that's Sage Tulok's. Very good.
Just gives me more an excuse to stay at the back.
I mean, I'm not opposed to moving the rune to my boarding axe when we get back to town, but I feel like that's going to cost a lot more gold than what we have right now.
Good do.
Or my shield, I guess.
I suppose you can put a potency rune on the shield, right? Because you can shield bash, so that is the thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would see why not.
Never thought of that.
Okay. He will open the door at the other end of this hallway now that Tulok has taken the Morning Star and kind of cleared his fears of the skeleton being reanimated.
You crack open this door, and the splintered framing in the ceiling and floor in this room hint that thin wooden walls once divided this stone building's interior. With those walls demolished, only a single large chamber remains. Rubble, swamp vegetation, and mud piled in heaps like foul nests, while a larger stack of rubble and sticks and bones looks almost, but not quite, like a throne. A flattened mound of sand with a few dozen bits of wood and stone stuck into it covers the floor before the throne. A single mitflit appears to be brushing bits of debris to one side with his feet in an apparent effort to clean the room. But more importantly...
The midflits have a Zen garden.
Not quite. Because more importantly, there was a much larger mitflit, wearing a makeshift crown and poking and prodding at the mound of sand with a dirty, jimmy-rigged trident. He half-attentively says, Dontuba nishatun dukabundan madlikaduda, which translates to, "This place is a disgrace, unfit for the boss of the Mudlickers." He peers up to see you with a look of surprise, but his eyes quickly narrow as he stands up straight and says, in slightly broken common,
Knew it was only a matter of time, but surprised to see you so soon. How do you find before execution of plans?
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a piece of rotting something and tosses it onto the ground. And in response, a massive spider crawls down and out of the northeast corner and over to him, gobbling up the food. And the large mythic gives it a pat and stares at you, waiting for you to respond. Stemming the Tide is an actual play podcast of the Adventure Path Abomination Vaults and is produced by the Uncharted North Network. Stemming the Tide uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Stemming the Tide is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. Music is composed by Will Savino and artwork by Greyhood. Stemming the Tide is recorded remotely using Foundry Virtual Tabletop. If you wish to connect with us or support this project and projects to come, we can be found at unchartednorth.ca, patreon.com/unchartednorth, and on all major social media platforms. Links to all credits can be found in the episode description and our website. Thanks for tuning in.